Hey, Internet. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're playing a game called Race into Space, which is basically Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space, but many of the bugs have been worked out, some of the balance issues have been solved, and basically it's playable from modern PCs, whereas I don't think you could possibly get the original Race into Space up and running without some pretty heavy DOSBox modifications. And when it first was released, it came out on floppy disks, a pretty good stack of them actually, and I still have my original Race into Space copy with the floppies on the shelf in the other room. Pretty happy I kept that one. That's one of the few games that I kept from the back in the 90s, which is when this came out. And the original version didn't have a lot of video in it. It did have a little bit, but it didn't have a lot. Now this one here includes all the video from the subsequent CD-ROM version. And there. Okay, so what do we got here? Historical model, historical roster, game level 3 for them. That basically means that they have high penalties. We're going to give them average penalties and give ourselves the same. We'll give ourselves level 2 of astronauts. That basically means that we can't see quite as much information. That's fine. It gives us too much information to begin with anyway, so. Okay, we have the video on, and let's go ahead. We're going to keep these videos at around 10 minutes each, and we're going to run right through until either we win or the Russians win. Currently, it's spring 1957.
Good evening. Developments in the news today. President Eisenhower announced the name of the director of America's space program. The director will lead the United States in the exploration of space. And that's the news. I'm Carter Walkwright.
All right, Director Death will lead the United States in the exploration of space. All right, let's see what we got here. Through the vehicle assembly building, the mission control, the viewing stand, launch facility A, research and development, tracking station, end a turn, as this is a turn-based game, administration, quit, Arlington Cemetery, Moon, Capitol Building, the Washington Monument, and the Pentagon. All of these buildings here have different things that they're going to tell us about what's happening in the game. And as you can see here, got a lot of forest out here out at South Florida. So I guess the first thing we want to do is just kind of have a look and see what we have available to us. Spring 1957, we have 60 megabucks. Next year, we're projected to have 70 megabucks. Obviously, we haven't had any expenditures as of yet. Here's all the different types of hardware that we're able to purchase. So basically, the first thing we need to do is launch some probes. We need to have a suborbital rocket. We need to have some probes. That's going to be this right here. We have the Atlas available to us, and we have the Explorer satellite. We can purchase the Mercury capsule. We can also purchase there's a spacesuit. I don't know if we're gonna play traditional follow history, or maybe we'll try to skip some steps. So what other things that we're able to purchase here? The Ranger satellite for doing flybys, a Surveyor probe for doing landings on the moon. For rockets, we have the Atlas for suborbital, and I think this can actually take the Mercury into orbit as well. Titan up to the Gemini, the Saturn V, and the Nova rocket. Of course, the Nova rocket never got built, but that'd be fun if we get a chance to build that this game. For capsules, we have the Mercury single crew, the Gemini 2-passenger, Apollo, the traditional moon landing capsule. The XMS-2 mini shuttle. This is a reusable space plane. If we happen to get ourselves in a financial position where we can afford it, we might jump into this one here, as it is pretty expensive. $55 just to start the initial cost. Compare that to the $40 to start the Apollo capsule. Jupiter spacecraft, if we went to the Nova 5 and just kind of went all in for a direct descent landing, of course it's the most expensive, but it also has fairly high prestige. Very expensive to get into that. And also look at the price of the rocket here. The Nova is extremely expensive to get into. Compare that, $150 to the start of the initial cost of the Saturn V at $90. Also available to us, almost forgot, a set of strap-on boosters. We're going to really rely on these strap-on boosters a lot, especially in the early game. For capsules, we covered right up to the Jupiter, but we also have the Eagle lander. This is a two-crew lander, so a traditional lunar lander where the Apollo would be involved, the Apollo capsule. This would bring the two crew down to the surface. But we also have available to us a Cricket module, a single crew lander in the event that we are in a position of doing Gemini landings. And there are some pretty interesting Gemini missions where you have two Gemini craft go out to the moon and perform a landing using a Cricket module. In the miscellaneous category available to us to purchase, we have two different types of kickers, the Kicker A and the Kicker B. These are used to carry different weights of payloads out to transmitter injection. EVA suits, docking module. Docking module required for just about any of the moon missions except, of course, Jupiter. If we wind up doing a direct descent, we don't need to do the docking. However, there is significant prestige in completing docking missions, so we'll almost certainly be doing docking missions. Alright, so available to us for some missions here. And you can see we have the ability to have 3 pads. We only have a single one currently. We have the full mission list available to us. 54 different types of missions that can be done. We have the lunar flyby available. Oh, it's Venus. Okay, Venus and Mercury. Okay, so technically we could do a Venus and a Mercury flyby with the way our planets are currently aligned, but we don't have anywhere near the kind of technology. Just to see what this screen can do here, we're going to look at manned orbital EVA here. So this would basically be a single crew that was, I guess it would be any number of crew, but a crew would go up into Earth orbit, perform an EVA, and then we'll return to the Earth. I would save that, but what I want to actually demonstrate is this here. So when you click on this map here, it'll give you a list of the steps that are involved. These steps are critical because this is what we're going to see in the game. We have the launch, orbital insertion burn, Earth orbital activities. These are just alphabetical. You see orbital EVA, Earth deorbit burn, step F, re-entry, step G, landing. All of these steps here are what are going to occur in the game, and we're going to have to make sure that we have everything fully researched and developed and all the crew are up to the steps here in order for this mission to be successful. You can see here we have a caution -8. That's a penalty because if we were to actually try this here, if we had researched the equipment to get here, we'd have manned orbital EVA as our first mission, so that would be quite ridiculous. So we're not going to do that. However, we do have orbital satellites, so we're going to select our orbital satellite as our first mission. Of course, we don't actually have that equipment yet, so we're going to have to go purchase it. We have the Explorer satellite, and we have the Atlas rocket. Now we have the satellite program map down here will give us a list of basically how reliable our satellite program is. It's going to be 40% off the start here because we haven't researched it. We'll come down here. We have a safety factor of 40%. We have a choice of how much money we want to invest in researching it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these here are multipliers of this number right here. So since it's a 1, it's strictly 5. But if you compare that to, say, the Atlas rocket here is 2. So if we put in 5, we are researching for 10. All right, so we definitely want to get these things up as quick as possible. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in, and we're going to research this as much as we can, and we're going to get 15% improvement over it. Same with this one here. We'll give it the full 5. We're going to get 20% improvement over that. The funding we have right now, we only have 13 left, so we don't have enough to purchase anything. However, I'm going to go ahead and purchase another rocket here just to have it in stock, and I'm also going to purchase another probe here just to have it in stock. And I'm doing this because I want to make sure that if something happens and we have a budgetary problem next season, or there's a problem with manufacturing or a supply chain problem, and we aren't able to develop a rocket or a probe, I want to make sure we have things in stock. And I'll try to do that as we make progress throughout the game, try to keep things in stock. We'll see how funding allows us to do that, as we do also want to make sure we put enough money into research and development to keep the research and development track going. Well, since we've selected our mission here, we've spent all of our money, we bought our equipment, we can go ahead and end our turn. Spring 1957, we'll go into fall 1957. Let's see what Carter Wolkright has to say.
Good evening. Developments in the news today. Operation Paperclip has brought in a top German rocket scientist to aid in the space program. R&D will improve from this development. And that's the news. I'm Carter Wolkright.
Well, that's excellent news there. So, we saw our good friend von Braun. He's gonna help us improve our R&D. Of course, in historical model, this would have been there anyways. But the idea here is that at the beginning of every turn, there's kind of a chance you're going to get either a bonus in R&D or a bonus in funds, or a penalty in R&D or a penalty in funds. Other things can happen as well in the beginning of these turns, but that's a good sign. We're off to a really good start here. We need to come to the vehicle assembly building and actually assemble it. Now, in this case, we don't really have any choice as to which equipment we're going to use. We're going to use the Explorer and the Atlas. But you could check, technically, if you had different rockets and different equipment here, you can select different configurations. And that's kind of the fun part about this game, is that you're able to develop the equipment and choose how you want to fly it. And it can be following historical or non-historical. Boosted Saturn, that's ridiculous. Who would do that? Maybe we will. We'll see. Before we do this, actually, we want to go through and make sure we've done our full research and development. And we did purchase a spare rocket and a spare Explorer last round, so we don't have a lot of money left, but we do have enough to do some R&D. The rocket, I think, is the one we want to put our money in first. So we only have 9 left, so we're going to split it here. We're going to put 6 into the rocket and 3 into the probe. We are now completely out of money. Well, let's visit the Pentagon. Wow, we don't have any information there yet. We'll have to come back. Okay. Eventually, the Pentagon is going to give us information about what it thinks our enemy is doing. Our enemy? Did I say that? Our competitor. Alright, so we have our rocket out here. There's no crew, of course. We are ready to go. We don't want to fly it quite yet. We haven't assigned it. There we go. I'm a little bit rusty here. So we have our rocket. We're going to assign the rocket. Okay. Come here. We assign the schedule. We can rush November, October, or September, but we'll just go and let it play out into November. You know what? Let's move that to October. Oh, well, let us. Oh, we don't have any money. If we could afford it, we could actually rush it and put it in September or October, but because we are completely out of cash, we're going to roll it out in November. And we do want to plan our next mission. plan another one of these orbital satellites. Whether or not this one comes off or not, we want to have that orbital satellite mission already planned for next season. Alright, let's go. This is going to be our first launch.
All systems are go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Engine's running, come on.
I got a pitch and a roll program, and this baby is really going. Roger that. Stand by for mode 1 Bravo. 1 Bravo. That's a lovely liftoff. That's not bad at all. He's built up. 3, 6, 5.5, 7. Roger is go. All systems are go. Cut off. Tower test green.
Ooh, I think we have orbital insertion there. Oh. Ooh, mission failure. The payload suffers a power drain and communications are lost. Okay, well, we didn't quite make orbit that time. That's okay. We actually had a successful rocket launch, which is kind of nice. Now, every time you have a successful rocket launch, or every time the equipment performs correctly, it will improve the safety of that equipment. Now we have the orbital satellite here. Unfortunately, had a failure, but prestige in -3. Oh well, it could have been worse, I guess. Let's spring 1958.
Good evening. Developments in the news today. Space engineers today announced a potential failure mode has been discovered on one of its programs. This was noticed by testing and analysis and will help avoid this failure during a mission. And that's the news. I'm Carter Walkwright.
Okay, so we have a safety mode has been identified in the Atlas program. So basically, we have improved the safety of the Atlas. That's going to really make our first crewed mission a lot safer. 67. Okay, so we got 67 megabucks. The first thing we want to do is do a full R&D on our rocket, full R&D on our Explorer. So that's going to bring up 18% here on the rocket, and on the Explorer, 83. So we're up to 83 already, up into the green already for the Explorer. We're still below. Well, that's beautiful. Avoid fail. But we're still below the yellow safety consideration for the rocket. Now we have a fair bit of cash here on hand, so we're going to go ahead and purchase the Mercury. We're going to put a little bit into the R&D. We're not going to rush it along too quick. We're going to bring it up there at 11%. And there is a bit of a dice roll in this number here. So 6% is not a huge jump, but it's not too bad. So we have 30 megabucks left. We're going to go ahead, before we run out of money, we're going to purchase next season's Explorer satellite launch. And we're also going to go ahead and purchase another rocket for a test of the Mercury. We may not do that test this time around, but I want to make sure we have that in stock. It's a little early to go ahead and hire the crew. Let's see, how much is that second launch pad now? Let's go ahead and get the equipment all sorted out. We've already purchased our equipment. We don't need to auto-purchase anything. Or an assign. And we could rush it here, but we're not really in a hurry. The Russians haven't got anything up either. There it is. Okay, so we could purchase it. Let's go ahead and purchase the second launch pad, and can't plan a manned suborbital, but we can definitely plan an unmanned Earth orbital. So we'll send up our prototype of the Mercury on an Atlas, uncrewed of course, just to test the equipment and give us a second launch. So we have the orbital satellite and the unmanned Earth orbital planned for next season. Our budget office here says we're looking at around 62 megabucks for our budget next year. We're not going to have any astronaut recruiting quite yet. It is spring of 1958. And we're going to go ahead and end it out right here. We're going to come back, and it'll be fall of 1958 when we pick this up at our next round. But until then, hope you come back for the next edition of Race into Space, and have an excellent day.